Hi everyone,
Hi.
it's Kate and Theodora here, and we're doing our Facebook Live session today. So we're starting a series to do a deep dive into resilience and change, a topic that we are very passionate about.
Yep.
And obviously we write about it, we talk about it, we do it professionally and personally. So today we want to share it with all of you, doing a deep dive into taking accountability through change. We see this as one of the most critical elements of starting your resilience journey. And it all starts with taking accountability and being aware that there is a change or challenge that you're facing.
That's true. And probably for all of us, the starting point we think is the current environment that we're all living in, managing the situation and the virus and COVID. So one of the things that we started to write about is this is the best time to actually develop resilience and challenge yourself and manage change. So one of the ways that we thought it's really makes it a bit easier to understand is imagine this journey that we're all going through now. So our starting point in our most recent past was stable. So we knew when things would happen, everyone had their role. If something went wrong, you knew who to escalate the problem to and where to get help. So things were stable, and we use a symbol of a square to represent the most recent past that represented stability. Where we are now, however, everything's in flux. Things are going around in circles. Something changes every day, especially in the early days back in March. Every single day there was more information and people were very confused. So, and this is going to continue for some time as we go through constant changes and things not being the same like they were before. And we use the symbol of a circle to represent the situation that we're in right now. But where is it leading us to? And the journey, because we're not going to stay in flux forever, we're actually moving to a new outcome. But we can't go back to the square. We're actually creating something different that we don't know what it's going to look like just yet. And we use the symbol, which of course I can't pronounce. It's called a dodecahedron, a 12-sided hexagon type shape. And that is completely different to a square or a circle. It carries elements of both and elements that are brand new. And what it represents in the future is that there will be some of the old stuff that we're used to will form part of our future. Some of the changes that we're creating now will form part of the future, and things that we haven't thought of. And that's, for me and for Kate at least, that's the exciting part, because we have the opportunity now to actually create things differently and do things differently rather than just go back to the square. So that's the context that we wanted to set for this session, was that we know we're on a journey, we know we're in flux right now, but there are opportunities if we just step back and say, well, how do I capture this opportunity? How can I move forward? And it all starts, as Kate said, it all starts with looking at what's happening and taking responsibility or accountability for the impacts that the changes are having on you, and articulating what they are so you can actually move forward.
And being aware of, this is the current situation. Change is the normal. It's, what we've gone through from a agility perspective is just propelling us so far forward, as well from a personal perspective, from a lot of our jobs. And I know, kind of in managing change, from a behavior perspective, we're like, this is just, people are just behaving a lot of the time that this is 10 years worth of change that we're getting
in one go.
In one go. So, it's really interesting from that perspective.
And it's destabilizing. It's
destabilizing.
It's disruptive and destabilizing for all of us. And when it's so extreme, you know that that's the clue that things will never be the same.
So how do you then take accountability through this uncertainty and through change, which I think is kind of what we're really kind of going to share with everyone today. And I think one of the analogies that we talk about is facing shit mountain.
Yes.
So we talk about this in our book, and we're almost going to call our book Up Shit Mountain, because I think we're both quite visual, and we all know when you've gone through change and when you know, kind of facing a challenge, you really just think there's a massive pile of shit in front of you. And
that's exactly what it feels like. Big pile.
And it's like,
steaming.
well, what am I going to, how am I going to, how am I going to handle this? And, I think the first thing we always say is you've got to acknowledge that the mountain is in front of you.
Exactly.
And it's starting at that the change curve, like, which, is, if you're in denial and you're going to go, it's not happening, it's not here. It's
exactly
you're just going to just stand there, and you're just going to kind of paralyze yourself
and get covered in shit
when it all comes back down. Whereas the first thing, once you actually acknowledge and that the mountain is there, then it's about preparing yourself so that you can start to take the steps up and take action. So I think for us, taking accountability, the benefits of it just is so empowering. It just means that you can really take your power back no matter what situation you're in. It means you can help to make the decisions, and it spurs you into action, I think, is kind of the language that we really use.
It does, and it helps you see differently, because, and we may have talked about this last week, but if you're still in the space of, we call it denial in the change curve, but if you're in that space of shock and denial, and you paralyze yourself and you can't see, you only see the negative stuff. And to get through that and build resilience and inner strength, you actually have to have a more balanced view. And you need to say, it's not all bad. It feels all bad. And it certainly looks bad, but it can't be that bad, and it doesn't last forever.
No.
So it's about trying to find the stuff that goes, okay, I can control this. Well, this is the impact on me, and I can do something about this. I can't do something about the other one. So it's taking those small steps to move forward.
So I think, it's a very interesting topic, because I think it is quite challenging for a lot of people to take that accountability. And I think it's okay. And I was just listening to you before, and I was reflecting on this last night, thinking, a lot of the challenges that we've all gone through, and I know the ones that we write about, we did go through denial.
We did.
We did
it's
kind of,
shock.
you do go through that shock and denial. And I think that's just normal, and it's just part of any kind of process that you go through in terms to, kind of into coming to terms with accepting something. But at the same time, I think you can't stay there. You've got to, you can start off there, but then you've got to obviously get the information, make the decisions, and that, so that you can take accountability for the situation.
Remember the analogy we use for the people that do just stay and paralyze themselves. We called it, and excuse the language in this blog, but we called it that you just build a shit shelter and you just settle in, and you just sit there in that mire, and it's just all raining down on you because you're too scared, or you're in denial and you're too scared to actually move forward. So it paints an interesting picture.
I know, as you can see, we like our analogy. It's very this. But one of the things that's really important to look at when taking accountability is your intention.
Yes.
And I know through our challenges, and we talk about the family challenge that we went through, is our intention, was to kind of, have integrity through the whole process. And so that also helps you make the right decisions in line with that intention, and while it's hard, and it was really hard, and a lot of the, and it was definitely not the easy path to take, but I think once we took accountability for our part to play and what we actually needed to do to resolve the issue, I think we were then, kind of clear on that intention.
That path. And I think part of it also, if we reflect back, and we're not going to bore you with the details of our one of our challenges, but if we reflect back to this particular huge one, part of it was out of our control. It happened, and it was out of our control. But
which is why we were in denial.
Yeah, which is why we're in denial, because it upset all the plans that we had made for ourselves. Yeah. But one of the things we did do once we moved into that next phase was actually say, let's articulate the impact that it was having on us. And then once we've separated the emotion from the actual impact that it's having on you, it allows you to say, do we want to fix this? Because you always have a choice. Our choice was to not fix it and let it go, and then project what would happen. Or do we want to fix it? And if we fix it and take on responsibility for fixing the impact on us, and I think that's an important distinction. We didn't fix the problem, and we didn't cause the problem. We didn't fix the problem. We fixed the impact that that problem was having on us and our family. So once we agreed to do that, that was hard work. It took a long time. But it worked out really well. Like we got to where we needed to be, and we learnt and grew. And rode.
And we took the accountability for what we needed to action.
Exactly.
Which I think was really important. And I think through anything you face, you know, whatever change or challenge you're going through, you really need to take accountability for your role that you're playing in it.
Exactly.
And I know we often get the question, and we'll go through a couple of questions as well in this session that we often get around accountability. But, you know, one of the questions is around how do you take accountability when you're in a situation you don't want to be in? And, you know, and that is kind of quite challenging, and we draw on our experience for that. But I think there comes a point, and I was saying before we came on air that, you know, something I normally ask myself is if I'm going, you know, if I'm kind of going through a challenging time or facing a change, and I'm there saying to myself, well, is this causing me more harm than good? And it's a very good question to ask yourself, because it's like, well, hang on a minute, if it's causing me more harm than good, well, then it's time to bail out.
Exactly.
You know, or make a change or do something that's different to the situation, so that I can actually help myself. And I think for me, it is that awareness. It's, I guess, coming back to that, looping in that awareness into accountability.
And it's very true. One of the things I use is, am I whinging about this too much? So if you find yourself that you sound like a broken record, and it's the same story day in, day out, then that's time that it's not working. It's time that you actually take that record off the player, and we'll CD, whatever we use, and then just move forward and do something about it.
And we don't handle whinges very well.
No, we're not. We're not very good at it, unless they're prepared to help themselves. Happy to listen to anyone who's prepared to start to help themselves.
And I think that's what you demonstrate, though. The moment you're going through stuff, and I think anyone's willing to always help people. And I know through coaches and all of that, but they always put the accountability back on to the person.
That's
leadership, any of that, you got to put the accountability back onto the person as well, because they're the only ones that can make the change. So you really need to be able to, you know, kind of demonstrate that you are doing that, and that you are able to help yourself. Because if you can't help yourself, no one else can help you. You're always going to be the victim to the circumstance you're going through.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
There's we'll go through a couple of questions, but there's probably one of the big questions that we do get asked is, well, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And where do I start?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of key points that you had before, Kate, that are summarised like elsewhere in detail, but maybe a couple just to give you a starting point on how do you do this? Because we also recognise that people's circumstances are different. And one of the things that our current environment has brought out is actually showing that some people are in very precarious situations, and all it takes is a massive change like we're going through now to actually expose all of that. So we do recognize that everyone is on this huge range of, okay, I can do it, through to really, you know, in dangerous circumstances. The message, though, is the same for everyone. It's all small steps. They don't have to be big, giant leaps, but the same steps apply to everyone, about acknowledging the circumstance and what's causing you grief, and then accepting that you're accountable for fixing the impact on you. You're not responsible for fixing someone else's problem. It's the impact that problem or that situation's having on you.
And you're accountable for your own growth, your own development, your own happiness.
Exactly.
No one else is going to do that for you. So no one else can take a lot of this accountability for the changes and challenges that you face. People can help you, but you know,
they can't do it for you because they've got their own journey. I remember once, one of the companies I worked in, one of my new team members was a little bit arrogant. He didn't like me, which I didn't mind. And one of the things he said, and he thought he was being smart, and he sat in my office and went, "What are you going to do about my career?" And I said, "Nothing. I'm only going to worry about my career." I said, "My role as your manager is to help you help yourself." I'm not going to manage your career. And that sort of threw him for a little bit. And then he became my best, most engaged team member. But it threw him because of that expectation of what are you going to do for me? And no one's going to do anything for you. They'll help you if you ask for help. They can share experience, knowledge, guidance, but the hard work has to be done by you.
Oh, totally. And I think the one thing that just I was thinking through that is I think in order to take that accountability, sometimes you have to go through that tension and holding that tension with someone as well, and having someone challenge you. You know, and you've also got to let go of your ego. You know, you've really got to let go of your ego and how you're responding to that. I know through a lot of the challenges that I've gone through, and I know through the one that we wrote about, and that, you know, kind of formed the 4 resilience codes. You know, we really, you know, kind of had to.
You really had to acknowledge and separate our ego.
And let it go, because if you were coming from a purely ego perspective, you'd be just kind of so headstrong with the way you were responding to it. Whereas that's where we want to hang on. This is our intention, and I think, you know, you are a lot more authentic to yourself when you are doing this, which is quite interesting. Another way which I was just joining the dots with what you were
I agree. You've just reminded me, if I can use examples of some of our world leaders, our ego-driven male leader in America, in the US, and our happens to be female non-ego-driven leader in New Zealand. And it's not a gender issue. It's a leadership issue and an ego issue. So it shows you how leadership can be performed without ego, and how leadership is performed and it's driven by ego.
Yeah, exactly. Look, and you know, it is quite an interesting case, because you do look at New Zealand and they were very fast to acknowledge the problem, very fast.
Exactly. Take responsibility.
Very, you know, it was very, very fast, very clear on their intentions with what they wanted to do. You know, and obviously we're very clear on the hope that everything was going to get better, but we've just got to go through this. And also you could see, you know, just very clear communication throughout it as well. So yeah, no, very, very different examples that you can see coming out from across the world. But just coming back to your question before, because I'm conscious of time as well. So how do you actually take accountability? So, you know, this is kind of the how and what's kind of the how-to with this, and some of our tips. So we'll leave you with a few of our kind of tips for this. And one of the things we start with is having hope. So just, you know, no matter what situation you're going through, you're facing shit mountain, you got to have hope that it's going to get better.
Exactly. You can get over the mountain unless you decide to build a shit shelter and settle in. Yeah. But there is another side.
Yeah. So having that faith and hope that everything, you know, kind of will get better, I think is also quite motivational as well. So that also will spur you into action as well. So making some decisions. So there's, you know, if you're really indecisive, this is something you really need to work on. Being on that fence, or that gray zone of should I stay or should I go, is probably one of the most confusing places you can be, and self-destructive places you can be. So make a decision. So it's one of the big things that you can do to actually help take accountability.
I remember, just on that very quickly, sitting on the fence, I remember a long time ago being taught, like in one of these training courses, that if you sit on the fence and you don't take a side, which will make your decision, you're going to get pushed. And you'll get pushed onto the side that you probably don't want to be on. So it's better that you actually choose where you're going to go, rather than sit there abdicating, and then someone will push you in a way that actually suits them, not you. So you can't give away your power like that.
No, exactly. And I think all of this helps to empower you. So taking accountability is one of the most empowering things you can do. So on a really practical level, and I know we like to talk about really practical things, to take accountability, find out information, you know, ask questions, you know, find out resources, you know, ask experts, you know, all of this stuff to help you make a decision, to help you find out the information that you need to be able to kind of move forward with yourself as well. So I think that's you know, kind of some of the big tips that we've got. And also about prepare yourself. If you know something's going to be challenging, or you're facing something, and I know when I was in a previous relationship and I wanted to get out of the relationship, and I knew that it was going to be very, very messy, I ended up telling, kind of my family and my friends, and almost rallying the troops around me before I told him, so that at least I knew I had that support and that I was prepared. I felt a lot more prepared because he was quite manipulative. So I figured I wouldn't be able to fall back into, kind of fall back into a trap. So it was kind of, but it was preparing yourself.
Exactly. And that was after numerous discussions of trying to resolve it and move forward.
Yeah.
So you don't just make a decision to go behind someone's back. Yeah. That's not what you did. But after, everyone gives an attempt to fix something, whether it's a relationship, a job, a situation. But you'll know when you can't fix it.
Exactly.
Because you get that, and you also get that gut feeling. Your heart and your soul actually tell you, your body tells you when it's not right. So if you've tried to fix it and it's not going to work, it's like beating that dead horse. It's not going to move. So then you need to take the responsibility or accountability to go, next step. I need to get information, get advice, build my support network, be prepared, as you're saying, and then move to that next step, because it's scary doing it on your own.
Totally.
And
if you look at, any journey up a mountain, you've got to prepare yourself.
Exactly. You take your equipment, you exercise, you take your food, everything.
All of that will just help you forward on the journey. So I think, you've got to kind of also do what's right for you.
Exactly.
And you're the only person that knows that. So I think that's kind of one of our points there. So that's kind of, I think, some of the questions that we get. The other question I think that we get a lot of is around, I'm scared to take accountability. Yes. Why can't other people just do this for me? And, we could spend another hour talking about all the reasons why other people can't take accountability.
It's like sitting on that fence.
And we have spoken a little bit about it, but it's really something that you need to do for yourself. Other people can help you. They can coach you, you can, your friends can be there to support you. And we will do one of these sessions on forming your tribe, which is our second resilience code that we talk about. So that's a nice kind of flow into that. But I think other people just can't solve your problems for you your entire life. You need to step up and take accountability and do it for yourself.
That's exactly right. And other people don't know what's in here or here because we don't sit there, and when you're confiding in someone or sharing a problem, you don't sit there and tell them every single thought in your head, right? So you don't, because people don't have that much time to listen. So you give them a summary of how you feel in that moment, and then you might give them some facts. So expecting other people to help you solve a problem when you've given them a summary of the problem and they don't know what's happening in here, it's not going to be the right solution.
Exactly.
So that's why you ask for help and support, but the actual fixing comes to you as the individual.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a nice little sum up. Nice little sum up of that. But obviously, others will always be there to help you, but you've got to also demonstrate that you're helping yourself.
Exactly.
And I know Louise Hay used to always say that. She's happy to help and coach and support others, but as long as she can see they're helping themselves, the moment they kind of grab her hand and then start to bring her down with them, she will let go. So it's quite interesting. So, and I think the moment you take that accountability as well, is that you'll be amazed at how many people will step up and support you and be around to support you and help you as well.
And how it makes you feel, like you just grow. You just grow, your energy grows and expands, and you start to feel really good about yourself. And it may only be a little, and it always starts with little things, but every little step counts. You'll just be, then you start that little avalanche of stuff that happens.
Exactly.
But you've got to get it started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
So,
any final thoughts?
I think we've covered them all. It's my final thing would be, and I know it may sound optimistic or naive, I think we leverage the environment we're in now, because this has never happened to us in our current history. It's a worldwide event. I think we would be silly to lose the opportunity that we've been given to reflect, think about what we want to do differently, and do it while everything's in flux. Because even if you do something and it doesn't work, the world's in flux. So it doesn't really matter.
I think that's one of the things that I think I'm enjoying the most, is that everything is very imperfect.
Exactly.
And, especially from a professional perspective, it's very much imperfect. It's not focused on everything has to be, kind of perfection. and,
exactly.
and the way,
exactly.
and that massive high kind of performance driven
Exactly.
kind of, which I think we've almost gone so far
it's
one
not
way that it's
sustainable.
not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
And it's not a humanistic way
it's
of
not.
managing either.
Exactly. And it doesn't,
Mm.
it's not inclusive.
No.
Like it only applies to a small group of people in our population. And that's not reflective of everyone's needs, and it's not necessary.
Yeah.
I'm getting on my little
Exactly.
soapbox.
No, that's right. But I think it's also a great time to demonstrate creativity and ingenuity and,
exactly.
you know, and all of these great things that we can do. And I guess it's kind of one of the reasons why we've really wanted to do our Facebook Live series as well. It's something new for us that we thought, well, let's give it a go as well, and so that we can actually share some of the ways that we actually, you know, have built resilience and how we manage change. And, you know, we have done this for ourselves, and obviously we're also learning and growing constantly.
It's a lifelong learning skill, but it's fun. And we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the situation we're in.
Exactly. So in a way, I think it's made us kind of look at how, and I think, it comes back to that intention as well, and how I think this situation is, I've seen, you know, there's so much good come out of it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of bad, but there's, you know, you see the way people are behaving and helping each other, and there's a lot of people that are doing, you know, offering a lot of their work for free to help others, and that, because they go, you know what, it's just the times we're in.
Exactly.
We've just got to, you know, kind of all pitch in.
I read this morning, there's a kindness epidemic starting, which is really good. I didn't read the whole article, I ran out of time, but I'll read it when I get back home. But which is really good. So we might leave it here for now. Next week, we'll see you again next week. We'll go through the second code about forming your tribe. If you have any questions, just send them through to us on our Zucas group page. And then we'll try and answer them next week.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
See you, everyone. Bye.
See you later. Bye.